What's up, guys? How are you? I am Dee Spur with Get Fit with Dee. How are you today? So it is Tuesday. Kind of had a long weekend and life happened. So I just wanted to jump on here today, get back on board with you guys and see how you're doing or what you're up to. So if you're joining me today, please, if you've been with me before, put a number 2. And if this is the first time on my videos, put in number 1. Guys, I love bringing things to you, value, sharing things with you, sharing things that I do to help you guys stay healthy and stay on track. So a lot of people always ask me questions of what I do or how I do it. And I wanted to come to you today because I think this is super, super important. I've been probably spending a lot of this year redoing some things that I've done in the past. One is, things that we purchased. We're trying to stay as organic as we can with our purchases at the grocery store. Sometimes that is hard depending on where you live or what's around you. We don't have any close places like, let's see, I think it's Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, I guess. I'm not even sure what's even out there around you guys, but we go to our local Kroger's and we found out that if we go on Sundays pretty early, we can have a great selection. So I just wanted to talk to you guys because I have been working really hard to get rid of chemicals in my home, get rid of the processed food. I think that's super important. So I wanted to share with you guys my tips on what I do when I'm at the grocery store to avoid those processed foods. So some of you guys may not be real sure what processed foods are or what they look like. So I'm just going to go over my 7 tips on what I do to avoid those processed foods. So one thing you guys can do to avoid those processed foods are make sure, number 1, you're buying real food, right? So that means nothing in a box, nothing in packaged bags or cans. So that makes things a little more difficult, especially if you're just trying to grab and go and make things quick. So our boxed or our bagged or our canned foods, frozen foods, they are convenient. I get it. But guys, however, they are it's most likely that they have been touched by someone before. When I say someone, I mean manufacturer, before they're coming into our home for us to eat, right? So what we want to do is just to make sure, when we're shopping is to avoid those packaged things. So what do they have in them? Guys, that food has been touched, it's been bleached, extra sugar has been added, extra salt has been added, and why do they do that? It compensates for that taste. Even our water, guys, you have to be super careful when you're buying that packaged water because it has been shipped and it's been in a hot truck, being shipped to the Kroger's or whatever store you're going to. And then, sometimes that chemical, that plastic, transfer happens. So just make sure that you guys are watching out for that and buying real food. The next thing that I would like for you guys to do, that I do, is stay away from anything white, guys. There is an exception to that, because our eggs, if you do buy them, I buy brown eggs. So if you buy white eggs, that is a huge exception to that. So just make sure, when you go to the store, you're thinking, avoid white, avoid white. So what is that? It's white bread, white flour, white rice. These have also been bleached, they've been enriched, and they're highly, highly processed. And what happens during that processing? Well, it strips away anything good. It strips away the nutrients. It strips away all the fiber. So therefore, it doesn't make it real healthy for us. So just keep in mind, try to avoid anything white. If you guys are transitioning, forget it. If you guys are trying to move past, purchasing those processed foods, making that transition, go to maybe buying something whole grain. I don't buy any bread at all. It's just something that we've eliminated. We actually use, like if we're making a tuna sandwich, we actually use a lettuce wrap instead, or we make a keto bagel or some type of no bread that we also purchase, which is very healthy for you. Number 3, we're on our 3rd tip for the day of how to avoid these processed foods. Shop outside. When you go into your store, shop on the outside, the perimeter of your store, because you're going to hit everything you need. Now, I do understand a lot of you are moms, you guys have kids. I get it, you got to go up and down those aisles, but you know what? I think if you do have kids, it is time to teach them how to avoid those processed foods. So get your kid involved. Let them help you, explain to them while they're young, and when they grow up, they totally get it. There's not even a question, they'll just automatically do it. So I think that's great to get your kids involved. So when you're shopping the perimeter, if you think about it, I know when I go to Kroger's, the first thing we hit is the veggies, right? So it's the fruit, the veggies. I always make sure I do shop in the organic for some of those. I do know, and I'll make this a video one day, some of those are good and some of those you don't really have to buy organic because the way they, come to us. So I'll go over which foods to buy organic, or fruits to buy organic and which ones not to buy organic. So what happens when we're in that little area of our fruits and vegetables? Well, they're unprocessed, right? Right. So then if you truck along, my Kroger's, we go through the organic. I pay very close attention to my organic aisle because some of them aren't organic. They have added stuff to them. So guys, make sure you're checking it out. Just don't rush and grab it and throw it in your cart. And I know I don't like to shop either, but pay attention, guys. The next place we hit is the meat area. Now, I am not a real big fan of meat. I do eat some turkey. We do go through that aisle because there are members in our family that do eat meat, but we do buy organic. So our beef is grass-fed beef, and then our turkey is organic. So we make sure that we're looking and we're reading. And guys, while you're there, check out the expiration date. Make sure when you're buying your meat, make sure it's nice and pink and healthy looking. Don't, buy something that, is getting ready to expire tomorrow. Don't save yourself a buck, save your health. So that's very important. So the next area, like I said, you go through your veggies, your meats, your eggs, your dairy area, things like that. Number 4 tip for the day, do not buy it if you cannot read the label. Have you ever picked, some type of food up and you look at it and you're like, I can't even pronounce this. I don't even know what it says. Why would you want to eat it, right? You don't want to eat that. It's not good for you, especially if it has color added to it or extra chemicals. And if you can't pronounce it, guys, pitch it. It's not worth it. So the other thing on your label is if you can't read it, then make sure you put it back and try to find something that's similar. Read your label, make sure it's very clear. The other thing, when you're looking at the label, if it has more than 5 items, guys, look how simple this is. 5 items on the ingredient. So when you're looking at a product, I know it's going to list like your label on it. It's going to tell your calorie, your servings, your carbs, blah, 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 sugar, fat, whatever is in it. But guys, go to the bottom. There's a list of ingredients. Just because on the front it says no sugar, I bet it's in the ingredients. So please look at that. Sometimes it's added and it's secretly added in there, and then you're eating something you don't even realize. So make sure you flip it over. Make sure there's 5 ingredients on that list, okay? It just is going to simplify things, and it's less processed. The less ingredients, the less processed. So think about that. How many ingredients does an apple have? 1 apple. So think about that. Just that's going to simplify it a whole lot. Going back to the ingredients also, when you're reading it, if it has OSE, so let's say it has high fructose corn syrup or maltase or whatever, it has OSE. I apologize if I screwed that word up, but it has OSE. Get rid of it. It's not good. It stands for sugar, or it could be a sugar that you're not familiar with. So if you can at least remember OSE on the label, don't do it. Don't, just get rid of it. It's highly, highly processed, and it's very high in calorie and very, very bad for you. So we're on to tip number 6, right? So tip number 6, you know, going into the color of like, so I guess I want to look at it as, so we know an apple is red, but we know that the apple is only one ingredient because it's an apple and it doesn't have a list of color. But when you're looking at a label, if there are colors in the ingredients, guys, do you really want to eat color? I don't want to eat blue or red, or, you know, the crazy thing is that can cause an allergy. Did you guys know that? I mean, I've seen people come to me and said, I have an allergy to this food, this ingredient red that's in this food, and I think sometimes they put a number with it. Crazy. That's because it's bad for you. Don't eat it. So on to our last tip of the day. Tip number 7 is coupons, guys. I know some of you guys are coupon gurus. I am not, and I'm going to tell you why I'm not. Most of the time, if you're clipping coupons, it's saying that you're getting it at a discount. The item's probably already marked down, it's cheap, and therefore it's kind of cheap to eat, right? If you really think about it, it would be very, very slim for me to find a coupon for food that I'm eating, because I'm eating real food, nothing processed. So your processed foods are going to have coupons. So that's a really, and I'm not going to sit here and say all of them. There is always, you know, something that you can find. So I don't want anybody messaging or texting me saying, that's wrong, whatever, you know, I get it. So this is just kind of my opinion and how I roll when I go to the store. But next on the coupons, because there isn't any for me, so I don't even waste my time. I know organic is a little more expensive, guys, but you've got to think of it in long terms. You know, I'm going to be saving on future, you know, doctor bills or things that, you know, I have to pay to make myself healthy, you know, because I'm sick, because I've ate something that's making me sick, and that sugar eventually is going to make you sick. So that is in that processed food. So most of the time, if we get cheap food, it is cheap. Usually foods that, you know, like I said, that don't cost that much or are inexpensive. It's just because they don't have that nutritional value that we're looking for. So make sure that when you're shopping, you know, don't worry about the coupon. I get it. You know, also, guys, I get if you're just starting out, you just don't want to clear out your whole pantry, get rid of all the bad, and then go and have this crazy bill. I get it. I've been doing this for a while. I'll give you an example. I went to the store to pick up for dinner tonight because we're wanting something a little different tonight. So I have a zucchini that somebody gave to us. It's great big from a garden. It's actually, I can't wait to dig into it. And so I'm going to actually make pizza bites with it. But while I was there, I wanted to get coconut flour. And so I know it's expensive, it's tough. I knew I didn't have it in my house. So I just slowly add things. So while I was there, I was only getting a couple items. I was like, let me just sneak that coconut flour on my bill. And then it's not so, I guess, you know, it's such an impact when you're checking out. So just do it nice and slow. Take your time, make a list, build it slowly as you get something, you know, to replace, like if you get something organic to replace something that's not, you know, you can transition that way, or use the item that you have and then transition that way. So guys, thank you for being here, guys. If you ever want to check out my website, it's www.getfitwithd.com. It is up and running. Again, also what I have is I have my Facebook group, and I post in there once a day. Every day is different. I try to add value to provide you guys, whether it's a recipe, a workout, you know, tip, or that sort of nature. Check it out, Get Fit with D. I would love for you to be there and join me. Guys, please tell me where you're from, who you are. If you've been here with me, awesome. I love it. Again, a number 2 if you've been here before, number 1 if this is your first time with me. I'll be going live every Tuesday. I'm trying to get it to a certain time every week so you guys can join me. When I get kind of a little settled down, things a little more organized, I will make that a set time instead of just randomly. But you can always watch the replay. So if you're watching the replay, tell me that you're on the replay. Guys, have a great day. Happy Tuesday. I love you guys. Thank you.